If we haven't met yet, my name is Alisha Mawji, and I'm the Community and Operations Coordinator here at Embodied Astrology. And this June, as Jupiter moves into Cancer, I'm thrilled to be co-facilitating a space alongside my peer, Amy Ashton. We're calling it At the Heart of Conflict. The word conflict is everywhere right now, being used to describe situations that at the heart of them are really about relating. Navigating across our difference, disconnection, and dysregulation in the spaces where we seek understanding, connection, and love. While there exist many spaces to learn conceptually what conflict transformation requires, there exist very few where we can actually be in the mess together, practicing what conflict transformation entails beyond the theoretical talk and ideals. This series, taking place during Jupiter's stay in Cancer, aims to serve as an active workshopping space where we can better understand ourselves and our others through astrology, practice taking different shapes in conflict, and explore cognitive and somatic frameworks for increasing our capacity in moments of rupture, so that we can actually show up in the ways that we long for. This cohort will meet weekly for 12 weeks, beginning in June, but space is limited. We're capping the cohort at just 10 people to better facilitate connection and allow everyone space to share. More information and the form to apply can be found on our website and in the podcast show notes, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Gemini season. This is your reading for May 20th through June 20th in 2025. This is a reading for anyone who identifies as a Taurus. Horoscopes are always going to be most accurate for your rising sign, or generally going to be most accurate for your rising sign. Astrology is nuanced and vast and much bigger than sun sign astrology. So if you know your chart, you can tune in with horoscopes for any of your placements. But if you don't know your chart, then check out the horoscopes for your rising, sun, and moon signs. They're going to tell you different kinds of things. And remember that horoscopes are general, so take what works and leave the rest. Not everything is for everyone. Okay, Taurus, we are getting out of your season. We are moving into the next season. Gemini is the sign that comes after yours, and that means that it occupies a really important place in your chart. This is the second place in your chart, and the second place has a lot of correspondence actually with the second sign of the zodiacal wheel, and that's Taurus. So Gemini for Taurus actually has a lot of influences and themes that are really important for you to pay attention to, because they have a lot to do with a lot of what Taurus really cares about. And this is a place where we find information about your values, about your self-worth, and really what sustains you, your desires and your needs, and how you get the resources that are going to help you grow and be the person who you want to be. Gemini is an air sign, and the air element is mental. And every Taurus who I know and have ever met is really mental about getting all their needs met. So I don't know if you're this kind of Taurus, but a lot of the Tauruses that I know, they're thinking about what they're going to eat for dinner like next week already today. It's that kind of energy where there's this kind of mental preoccupation with how do I get what I want and what I need. What you want and what you need has everything to do with you as a person and your entire chart and the constellations that it has. And of course, it includes the basic needs that everybody has. And so Gemini season brings an emphasis to these themes of sustenance, sustainability, support, and your desires and how you are going to get them and how you're going to get your wants and your needs met. And this includes everything from what is most basic, your money, your rent, the food that you need to eat, etc., to what is really distinctly about you. So what do you really feel like you want and you need? Again, this is a general reading, so I don't know if I can get into that level of detail, but I know that you know, and I'm guessing that you have started to feel an increasing kind of focus on some of these issues and themes. Now, this is a season that is asking you to really take stock of what you have and how you can use what you have to get what you need. So what you have, Taurus, first and foremost is you. It's your life, it's your presence, it's your energy. And you contain multitudes, right? So you are in possession of very unique gifts and skill sets. And these have been passed down to you through the inheritances of your family, your culture, your experiences, your personal biography. They have been honed and refined through the particular kinds of efforts and challenges and life circumstances that you've had to navigate. You have inherent qualities, and you in your beingness and your presence are inherently valuable. And the way that you connect and are able to resonate with your own inherent value is really important when it comes to being able to ask for what you want and need. And also when it comes to your capacity to be receptive. So many people don't believe in their own inherent value. And so many people have a lot of complications when it comes to self-esteem and self-worth. That's an entire season of podcasts to get into, the why and the how and the what of all of that. But I'm going to say that probably most people out there alive today, given the world that we live in, have some kinds of complications when it comes to really believing in their own inherent worth and own inherent value. And these complications can get in the way of us being receptive to what the world has to give us. It can come up in terms of self-limiting beliefs and thoughts. Oh, I could never have that. I could never ask for that. I don't deserve that. Maybe we don't even let ourselves think about certain things. It can come up in the forms of insecurities and jealousies and comparisons with others or things like that. So the first thing that I want to say is this is just a good time in general for you to check in with your self-worth. Maybe do a self-worth energy audit. I'm going to be here as a proponent for you, knowing that you are inherently worthy, that your time is inherently valuable, and that nothing and nobody can change that about you. As a living being, your life matters. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your breath matters. And you deserve to have your basic needs met. And you also deserve to have a lot of what you want and need. Now, a lot of what we want is not exactly what we need, right? So this is also a place in your chart where we want to examine some of the desires and the longings that can be here. Now, Gemini energy can go in a lot of different directions. And over the last year, since the end of May 2024, the planet Jupiter has been in Gemini. Now, what Jupiter does is it expands things and it brings a lot and more of what's already there. It sometimes can bring opportunities and benefits and gifts, but it can sometimes magnify things to the point where they feel overwhelming and out of control. With Jupiter moving through this part of your chart over the last year, a lot of you may have felt that you have a lot of desires, or you're fancying like this direction and that direction. It's like you want this thing, you want that thing. And maybe it feels like some of your wants are conflicting sometimes, or they're going in opposite directions, or they're canceling each other out, or you don't know how to manage them all. Maybe you are getting so many gifts, you don't know how to receive them, or you want so many things and you can't figure out how to get all of them satisfied. In Gemini season, around June 9th, Jupiter will be leaving Gemini. It will be moving into Cancer, and it will then stay there for the next year. So I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But first, what I want to say is that as Jupiter is preparing to leave Gemini, I think that a lot of you are experiencing a profound clarification of your desires. And it feels to me like, again, the landscape of your desire has become amplified, magnified, and diversified over the last year. And you might have gone in a lot of different directions thinking about what you want. And not all of the things that you want are things that you were able to get. And not everything that you wanted and got ended up being actually that satisfying. So there is a kind of discernment and maturation that's happening as well. You know, we can eat a lot of things, but not everything is nourishing. And so there's a question for me now around, what have you been learning about what you truly want? And how have you clarified and refined your desires and been able to understand them on a deeper level? Now, I want to invite you to think all the way back to 2020, which was the beginning of an important cycle with Jupiter and Saturn. I'm not going to get into all of that right now, but I'm sure if you dig through the Embodied Astrology archives, you can find it. You can also look up the Great Conjunction of 2020 and find more information there. But I'm just going to go right into my own meaning making, and I'm going to say that in 2020, a new cycle began, and this is a 20-year cycle. So from 2020 to 2040, a new path of growth is opening up. And when something starts, it is not yet developed. And the beginning of things are often unconscious, impulsive. They don't yet know their own strength. We're trying things out. We might be quite reactive at the beginning of something or responding to something that has happened. And that is then kind of compelling some new growth. So 2020 was a year. A lot was going on. Think back to 2020 and what you remember about that time. Bring your focus specifically to the ways that you felt yourself engaged with life path and direction, and the kind of person that you want to be in the world. And if you have like a LinkedIn profile, you know, or a Wikipedia page, it's like this brand of the kind of person you want to be in the world. So when somebody hears your name, what do they think about? In 2020, a new chapter started for you. So that may have been a point when your ideas about who you are becoming in the world actually took a fairly radical shift, or maybe a new layer of development needed to begin. There may have been significant endings, and as you look back now, you may also be able to see that there were significant beginnings at that time. In the last 4 to 5 years, since then, we're in 2025, this cycle began at the end of 2020. So in the last 4 to 5 years, you have been in a process, I think, of, it feels like a renewal of your energy. I think a lot of you needed to end something so you could start something new, or there were some aspects of your consciousness or how you were engaging in the world that it's like it had to take you in so that you could go out again. Obviously, this was also right at the beginning or kind of in the middle of like quarantine and lockdown and the pandemic. So there may have literally been experiences of isolation and kind of a enclosure that you felt. But over these last 4 to 5 years, something has been clarifying for you. And over the last month, so in Taurus season, I think that like what has been clarifying has now started to make itself a little bit more conscious. And the feeling I have is that some of you are starting to actually be able to name and locate what this new cycle of growth is about. You have been, again, clarifying your needs and your desires and your values. And a lot of you are being pushed to also get really steady and centered in your own self-worth and in the ways that you value yourself. And how you value yourself has a lot to do with how you show up for your life and for your life purpose. And Gemini season is asking you to take a look at that, because not everything you can eat is nourishing. Not every desire actually wants or needs to be satisfied. And certain needs and desires that you used to be really oriented towards are no longer appropriate, or at all aligned for you. And new needs and desires and new ways that you are organizing around your self-worth really need your attention, and they need to be, you want to concentrate on them and build your own sense of power around them. Okay, so the first week and a half of Gemini season brings us through a new moon. And then a couple of days after the new moon, we have an important event, which is a conjunction of Mercury and the sun. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. This is an event called a Cazimi. And this is basically the beginning of some new kind of idea. So we have a new moon on May 26th, and then on May 29th, the Mercury Sun conjunction happens. And this sets up a cycle that's going to take us until really the end of July, in terms of some important kinds of process that we're in. And I feel that a lot of you are having kind of like bold new ideas and thoughts about what you want and what you need and what you can have. And especially around the end of May, there are invitations for you to ask for what you want. And especially if you want something different, if you want more, if you want less, if you know, it's like, be clear about what your desires are. And a lot of you are going to have a feeling about this that it's kind of risky. It has a feeling about it like you're taking a free fall a little bit, and you're like, I don't know, I'm just going to put it out there, and like, I might lose the thing that I have that's stable, that's known, that's familiar, but I actually want something different. And so I'm going to take the risk to make it known, because I want something different. I want to change my own circumstances. And I want to be your cheerleader for that, Taurus. I'm going to be here, you know, just what's this called? Like, I'm doing this thing with my hand. If you can't see me, I imagine I have like a little flag, you know, and I'm like, woo, 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 Taurus, you got it. You know, ask for what you want. Get it. Like, get the thing that you need. It's okay that your desires are changing. It's okay if you want more or less or none at all or all of it. Let it be known. And the trick for you right now is to get really concentrated and centered in the need, in the desire, and in the sense of yourself and self-worth that allows you to actually feel and believe that you are worth having your needs and desires met. Okay, so if you need to ask for a raise from your job, you want to get paid more, before you ask for it, know that you're worth it. Focus on the feeling in your body that somebody could give you all the money in the world, and money would never actually be an accurate representation of your value, because you are inherently valuable, and there is no dollar amount that will exceed your value. This is true for everybody, Taurus, not just for you, but you have to believe it. You have to own it. You have to feel it in your heart. And then when you go to your boss or whoever it is that's making the decision, you need to know that in your body as you express what it is that you want. Because your communication carries a lot of subtle energetic information. Something like 93% of our communication is nonverbal. And if you are feeling insecure, if you're feeling resentful, if you're feeling fearful when you express what it is that you want and need, whoever it is that you're talking to is going to feel that. They might not know what they're feeling, but how they might register that feeling is as some kind of resistance or resentment or mistrust. They might feel like they're being manipulated, or they might feel like there's an opportunity to manipulate you. If what they feel is your grounded, centered, just clear, embodied knowing of what it is that you're asking for or expressing around your need or desire, they're going to feel the truth in that. And that is going to help them be truthful with you. So they may or may not be able to give you what you want and need, but what you need at that point is clear communication so that you can work realistically with your options. And you have got to take the risk right now. I don't know what it is for you. It might not be money. It could be something in a relationship. It could be about attention. It could be an opportunity that you want to take. But Taurus, end of May, moving into June, is the time to first and foremost, get really grounded in yourself, clarify around your own inherent value. You deserve to have your wants and your needs met. And let's go for it. Let's ask for it. Now, if it cannot be met, that's also okay, right? Sometimes our wants and needs are not satisfied, and that's just part of being alive on Earth. And so the time between the new moon on May 26th and the full moon on June 11th is a period of time, I think, when a lot of you are in some kind of negotiation. So the full moon on June 11th shows up in the solar 8th house for Taurus, and this is the place of shared resources. So if you are being paid by someone, that is an 8th house affair. If you want something, let's say you have some kind of desire in your partnership and you're like, I really want us to like try line dancing, you know, and like, I know it's a stretch, but like, please, I've been just imagining myself in cowboy boots for, 6 months. And like, I just have to do this. And your partner is like, nah, I'm only here for salsa. Maybe you're going to have to be in some kind of negotiation for a couple of weeks. And like, maybe it's not your partner who's going to go line dancing with you. Maybe it's actually your best friend, but you have to be in some kind of conversation about the insecurity that your partner has, that now you're going to be dancing with your best friend. But you've got to be like, you know what? I told you I have to line dance and you don't want to. So I need to get my needs met, right? That's silly, but like make the meaning for you that's meaningful. There's some kind of negotiation, I feel like, that's happening here. Now, some of you may be in negotiation with yourself and your own psychology. And so there may be some kind of process that you're in where you're kind of trying to sort it out for yourself. Like, what do I want? What do I need? What am I going to do with what I can get or what I can't get or something like that? There may be fears, phobias, insecurities, losses that you are really needing to contend with in the space between the new moon and the full moon. All of that is the work you want to be doing at this time. This is hugely productive for you right now. So be in the density of like the desire field, like what do you want? What do you need? Be in the conversation with yourself. Be contemplative about it. That word, contemplative, right? The prefix con, C-O-N, means to be with. And the templative, like Templar or temple, it means to be with the space where divine energy resides, right? In the temple is where the divinities live. So to contemplate is to be with your own divine energy. And desire is divine energy. In a lot of spiritual traditions, self-growth traditions, there is a really important path of practice in the space between satisfaction and austerity. And some people will think like, oh, to be on a spiritual path, you have to be so austere. You can't let yourself want any sensory satisfaction or something like that. But at least in terms of what resonates for me, I think that there's a balance, right? So to deny ourselves satisfaction is not actually to be closer to God. The earth is an abundant, beautiful, and deeply sensual place. But to be completely fixated on materiality and satisfying every single whim is also not to be close to our own divinity. So there is a balance between what you're willing to let go of and go without, and what you know that you really want and you really need. And it feels like a lot of you just need to be with this for some time. Now, just before the full moon on June 11th, Jupiter moves into Cancer. As soon as Jupiter moves into Cancer, it begins to square Saturn for the third and final time. Jupiter has been squaring Saturn since August of 2024. And remember, Jupiter and Saturn made a conjunction in December of 2020 that started their cycle. It's a 20-year cycle. 5 years later, we get the first quarter square. Now, a square aspect is challenging, and it is meant to be challenging. Challenge is dynamic, it is growth oriented, it is creative, and sometimes it needs to change the path of something. Now, Jupiter is coming into a place in your chart that has a lot to do with communication, with relationships, with being in community, and kind of like being engaged and involved in the world around you. This is a really beneficial energy for you to do a lot of what Taurus loves to do, which is to be, and also to build your sense of kind of immediate community. This is a great influence for deepening your friendships, for getting to know your neighbors, for enhancing your relationships with your siblings. This is a really nice influence also for learning new things, and also just being curious, opening your mind, and really growing in your own consciousness. Now, the square that Jupiter is making to Saturn is coming into your 12th house, and the 12th house has a vibe that can sometimes be kind of tricky because it is a place where a lot of unconscious energy is. And it's also a place in our charts that signifies so much of what we can't control. And one of the many meanings of the 12th house is hidden enemies. Hidden enemies can include actual people who just don't like you and, have it out for you, but you don't know that. But more often, I'm going to say that hidden enemies either has to do with environmental factors that are affecting you that you don't know about, or your own internal state and your unconscious state, where you kind of thwart your own energy. So I'm going to go with that meaning for now. And astrology is vast, so take what works, leave the rest. But the meaning that I'm going to be making right now, Taurus, is that over these last 5 years, as I mentioned, you have been orienting towards some new path of growth and new ways of being in the world. I think a lot of you have experienced your priorities and your goals changing significantly. The person you thought you were going to be in 2019 is not the person who you think you're going to be in 2025. You may have realized many of the goals that you had back then, but the way that you are projecting your life forward from then has really shifted by now. And I think that this is definitely a time when a lot of Taurus folks are needing to claim their power. And the way that I feel this aspect coming in for you in relationship to how I've already interpreted what's happening in Gemini, the way that I've interpreted this, that I'm interpreting this aspect for you, is really about boldness. It is about courage. It is about concentration on what you actually are really wanting, and a willingness to turn towards the fears and the parts of your psyche that you normally kind of keep unconscious. And so again, I'm asking you to tune in with your self-limiting beliefs. I'm asking you to pay attention to the ways that your internalized narratives of inadequacy, insecurity, disempowerment get in the way of you actually claiming who you are and asking for what you want. And I feel this as a general life vibe. So I'm not really talking about your romantic relationships necessarily, or your job, or, I don't know, like with your family. All of those areas of your life could be implied here. What I'm really feeling is that this is about you with you. This is about your soul. This is about you up-leveling in your own energy and basically being willing to come to terms with your own limitations, your time, your energy, your capacity, your life, limited. You do not have all the time in the world, and you're a Taurus, so you need to be able to take your time. And in order for you to deeply invest in what matters most for you, you need to be willing to own it. And some of you have been scared about that. And I don't know why you've been scared. The feeling that I'm getting in my body right now is you've been scared because you've thought that it's not for you for whatever reason. Maybe it's because of your social location and positionality. Maybe it's because of some opinion you have about it or what your family thinks about it or something like that. But the feeling that I'm getting is that some of you just need to say, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I'm about, and I'm going to go for it. And I might fail. That's always a risk on planet Earth. We might fail. We might run out of time. It might turn out totally not the way that we thought that it would. But if we don't try it, we're going to regret it forever. And the feeling that I have for you right now is that there are some important decisions that you are really needing to make. And those decisions need you to be psychologically sturdy. And in order for you to be psychologically sturdy, you need to affirm your values to yourself. You need to affirm your self-worth, and you need to affirm to yourself what you value most, what is most important to you. Mars moves into Virgo around June 17th, right at the end of Gemini season. Virgo is your fellow Earth sign. Virgo holds the solar fifth house in your chart. This is a very generative, creative space. And as Mars moves into this place, it brings you a lot of energy to manifest your desire. So Taurus, Gemini season feels like a really important, very productive period of time. It feels like a time that is asking you to up-level and to get very clear about what it is that you want. I say up-level and immediately I get all kinds of associations to things that I don't actually want to associate with right now. I'm not necessarily talking about go out there and make $1 million tomorrow. Some of you definitely want to and can. But when I say up level, the feeling that I'm having is just that you are taking up more of your own energy. You're being more courageous. You're being more confident. You are less willing to hide from your own power. And this actually makes you a better negotiator in a lot of ways. The more honest you can be, the more others can be honest with you. And your honesty is really important right now. Be upfront about it. If you, if you've been keeping things kind of under wraps or you're not sure if you can ask for it, now is definitely the time to just, like I've been saying, work through it with yourself. Give yourself those pep talks. You've got this, Taurus. I believe in you. And take that for what it's worth. But you have my vote of confidence, and I am just sending you so much support and love. I hope that you get what you want, and I hope that you want what you have. So before I end, I want to offer you a little bit of embodied integration, and I want to offer you just some orientation towards the relationship between Taurus and Gemini as we move into Gemini season. Now, Taurus and Gemini have an interesting relationship because they both have a lot to do with the voice. Gemini governs the air that moves the words out of your mouth and the thoughts that shape the words. And Taurus governs the actual structures, so your vocal cords. Working in the space between Taurus and Gemini is a kind of interesting somatic practice in that we can tune in with the resonant qualities of our voice. And we can also try and tune in, I'm trying to do it right now, with as much presence as possible in the space between our thoughts and our words. So I want to invite you right now to take some deep breaths, to feel your own body and bring some attention to your lungs and your chest and your throat and your mouth. And if you feel comfortable with it, maybe hum a little bit, create a little bit of tone. And maybe some of you are just going to belt out a song, and that would be great. But you can also be really, really quiet about it. And I'm going to ask you to try and feel that the sound that you are creating actually can come through your heart and get deeper than your vocal cords. And then maybe see if you can deepen it even more and make a sound from your belly. And then deepen it even more and make a sound that comes all the way up from your pelvis, all the way from the base of your spine. And just play a little bit with the tonal frequency of your voice and feel the way that sound vibrates through your body and through your tissues. Okay, and the next part is totally an experiment, but I want to invite you to name your own value, to speak your own worth. And I think that for all the Taurus placements out there, there's somewhere in your life where you have been growing into a deeper consciousness of your self-worth. And there's somewhere in your life where you are ready to affirm your self-worth. And maybe this has to do with what you get paid, or the kind of attention you're receiving, or the kind of life that you want, or just your life here on earth. Speak it out loud. Speak it from your heart. Speak it from your belly. Speak it from the base of your spine, all the way from your pelvic floor. And then, Taurus, experiment with naming what you want. Not asking for it, not requesting it, but naming it. Using your first person pronoun, I want, and own the desire for yourself. And speak it through your whole body. So if you noticed that you went to try and speak your value or speak your desire and your throat felt tight, or you couldn't access your felt sense of resonance in your belly or something like that, that's information for you. And my homework for you, should you choose to accept it, in Gemini season is to practice vocalizing, giving voice to your worth and giving voice to your desires. And Taurus is an energy that knows this better than any other sign in the zodiac. When we speak something, it becomes real. So vocalizing, intoning, articulating, that is magical practice. And Taurus, I am inviting you to cast spells of abundant self-regard and grounded, centered empowerment in your desires. If you enjoy this meditation and somatic practice, if it feels a little exciting for you and you want to do it more, come hang out with me on a Monday. Every Monday from 8 to 9:30 a.m. you can find me on Zoom in somatic space, which is a weekly class I teach where we tune in with the astrology of the upcoming week through movement, visualization, and meditation. It is a fun, exploratory, experimental class, and it always leaves me feeling pretty good in my body, if not great. And I would love to share those practices with you. You can drop in or you can become a member. And if you become a member, you get access to our community spaces, which include study groups and monthly deep dive mini workshops with me, and a whole virtual community space where you can meet other people who are interested in embodying astrology. Embodied Astrology is a virtual learning space and community. We also are doing more in-person events, and we have a virtual event coming up on the new moon, May 26th. This is a community conversation I'm going to be having with one of my neighbors. Gemini is an energy that resonates with neighbors and neighborhoods, and there's a lot of cool people all around us. We're just waiting to meet each other. So I want to invite you to make new friends with a neighbor sometime in Gemini season, and maybe come and meet my neighbor, Stephan, who is amazing. He's a science teacher. He teaches mythology. He also runs the Queer Student Alliance. And we've already had one conversation. I'm looking forward to the next one that we're going to be having on the 26th about the intersections of queerness and science and mythology and education, and how we can show up for our lives with all of ourselves and do the work that we want to do in the ways that we can. You can find more information about everything Embodied Astrology does in the show notes in the link below. And if you enjoy this horoscope, please let me know by giving me a like and making sure to subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps me. So please follow and subscribe and share a horoscope with one friend this season if you think of someone who would like it. Thank you so much for being here. I'm wishing you all the best in Gemini season and beyond. Bye for now.